Welcome to El Profe's Classroom. Class is in session. And for today's class, we're going to be talking about a book series that I've already talked about once before, but I'm kind of hooked on it, so I'm going to be talking about it for a while. And I think this is one of those series that has taken the internet by storm. You know, sometimes there's this series or book or movie that just goes off on the internet and everybody's talking about it. And this is what is going on with the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. If you've never heard of it, I already did one episode about book one. This is another sort of review for book two in the series, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, which came out in 2021. Again, written by Matt Dinniman. This time though, a friend of mine is also reading the book, and she recommended that I listen to the audiobook because apparently it was pretty great. So I decided to go to the audiobook and read that. I'm not used to reading too much about in audiobooks, but I tried to do it that way because they told me it was great. And then, this book was narrated by Jeff Hayes, and he does all the voices, and he is incredible. I mean, I know that Matt Dinniman is the writer of this book, and he wrote, all the words in it, but the way that Jeff Hayes has been able to make these characters his own and create different voices for each of them, and them sounding so perfect for their characters is a work of art. If you've never tried an audiobook before, I always had a trouble with listening to audiobooks. My mind would wander and I would lose track. But this is so well made that it worked. It clicked for me. So props to Jeff Hayes for keeping me, entertained throughout all this and not have my mind wander around. So what is going on with Dungeon Crawler Carl, this second book, Carl's Doomsday Scenario? But basically we're on the third floor, and all the crawlers who survived have picked a race and a class. Princess Donut picked a race or a class that gives her the power to have a manager, and that makes Mordecai become her manager, and by extension, the team's manager. And Mordecai is very knowledgeable, so he's a great addition to the team. What changes as well? Carl, obviously he becomes more of this explosives expert because he stomps on things with his bare feet and he blows things up. That's basically his powers so far. But the world becomes much more like an MMORPG or an RPG in general. It becomes sort of like the sandbox instead of the dungeons, like the corridors that are closed off. It becomes an open world where they go around to cities and towns and all that, and we get the side quests. So now there are stories that are running parallel to whatever the crawlers are doing, which is trying to figure out how to find the staircases to the next floor. So I think it was a very smart play. The first book was very self-contained. The characters are starting to figure things out, and now we get the big open world stuff that we love in RPGs. At least for me, one of the things I like the most is exploring in a video game. So Dungeon Crawler Carl, this book, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, does a great job of giving us that world where there are characters living their things, and you run into their lives and help fix stuff for them and all that. So the big thing is that big changes also. Katya is from Brynhilde's Daughters, which is another party run by Hekla, another big time player of the crawlers that have survived, and for some reason she was far away from Hekla and the party. So Hekla asked Carl to help her out, to have her raise her level a little bit and help her survive in order for her to join later back with Brynhilde's daughters. We also have a little bit more of the world building when it comes to what is happening behind or outside of this video game TV show thing that's going on. What is it with the Skull Empire and all that? It starts to get a lot bigger and a lot more interesting, because it also starts to play around with the politics and the effect that what these people are doing is having on the people, on the crawlers, and also the billions of people, trillions of species and people that live around the universe. There's an assassination. I don't wanna say too much. I just think it's great. It does its storytelling very similar to what would be if you were narrating your own run through an RPG game, which I think is fantastic. Also, almost like sort of watching somebody stream an RPG game and them explaining their characters and all that. So I think this is a great book. I think it does all that the first book did and even a little bit more, and the addition of Jeff Hayes' narration is a must. So I highly recommend the first book and this second book as well. So go read Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I hope you enjoy that. I give it a chance. I know it sounds insane, but you have to give it a chance. It will hook you. So that's about it for Carl's Doomsday Scenario. Class dismissed.